Welcome back. Today's guest embodies resilience, reinvention, and radical alignment. Ebonee Slater is a corporate powerhouse turned real estate developer and visionary mompreneur. After navigating 8 rounds of IVF, 2 miracle births, a corporate layoff while on maternity leave, and even a life threatening delivery, she didn't just survive, she is rewriting the rules of success. From building a multi-million-dollar real estate investment firm in just 5 years to founding the Mompreneur Hub, Ebonee is now helping high achieving mothers build profitable businesses without burning it all down. Through soulful content, strategic coaching, and transformational events like the Mom Entrepreneur Reset, she empowers women to connect with their highest self while creating wealth on their own terms. Her story is raw, real, and full of wisdom, and I cannot wait for you to hear it. So, Albany, welcome to the show. I am so honored you're here, and I cannot wait to get into this today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Let's get into it.
Well, let's start at the beginning or as far back as you want to go, right? I like to give our listeners the background, the story, how you got here. When I talked in the intro about this really intense personal and professional journey with IVF and motherhood and corporate layoffs and building a multi-million-dollar business, can you share more about that? What stood out as the ones that really cracked you open and changed how you see success and how you see the world today?
So I will say this always surprises people when I say this, but I actually never wanted kids. I thought that becoming a mother would just change my entire world. I wouldn't be able to travel. I wouldn't have flexibility. I couldn't accomplish all the things that I wanted to accomplish. And I was wrong. It's actually quite opposite. But I had a very long journey to motherhood. And I think because I did wait later in life, as we know, the clock is ticking biologically. And so when I met my now husband, while working in London on a short stint for work, we got pregnant accidentally, actually, and we lost that baby ultimately. And ever since that happened, we were trying and trying to get pregnant again. And so I found myself, 8 cycles of IVF later, 10 years later, I finally had my first miracle baby at 43 and then at 45. So here I was, two under two at 45 years old. And so that's really what changed what I saw for success. At the time, I was super focused on climbing the corporate ladder. I was the perfect employee at my firm, and my goal was to make partner and everything pointing towards that goal, working 80-hour weeks and everything. And when I had the first baby, I kind of slowed down a little bit, like, oh, I don't know if this is really what I'm looking for. And when I had our second child, I was actually laid off while on maternity leave, as you mentioned. And that was the moment that cracked me open because I knew I had to figure out a way to support our family and to be home with my babies, right? And plus, I had a life threatening pregnancy or delivery, and I was recovering from that. And so I was in a really hard place, I'll be honest. And we were scaling our real estate business, just kind of a side hustle on the side. And I decided I'm going to go all in. So we scaled, as you mentioned, to multi millions. And then I turned around and said, I need to help other women do this. So that's what brought me to the Mompreneur Hub.
Wow. Thank you for sharing, Ebony. I'm sure so many moms can relate to this, maybe not in the exact, circumstances that you had, but I think part of, this show for me is really being able to share those raw and the messy middle moments, right? As we had talked about before we even started recording. Sometimes there are those moments where things feel really heavy or out of alignment. And so I know you had mentioned kind of the layoff was the big thing, and then you built that $1 million business. Was there a point where you hit burnout or that there was like misalignment when you kind of look behind the scenes that caused you to now start wanting to help other women like this?
Absolutely. And it's a story that still gets me a bit overwhelmed to talk about. But a couple months after our second child was born, I was at home with both of our kids. I was nursing, and our toddler was just kind of running around playing. My mom had just left the house. My husband had just gone to Home Depot. And I was sitting on the couch and I started feeling very just weird, is the only way I could describe it. It was kind of like an out of body experience. Things got very blurry, things kind of got very slow. And immediately I picked up my phone to call my husband and I kept pressing the button to call him and it wasn't ringing. And I was thinking, what is going on? What is going on? Something's very wrong. And so I finally get the phone to ring through to him. He puts me on video and he's looking at me talking. And I'm like, something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling pressure. My vision is blurring. And as he's talking to me on video, he says, I'm calling the ambulance. And
Oh my
so, long
gosh.
story short, they call the ambulance, they come, and my husband, he's back home by now. My kids are still, in the room with me. He's lays me in the bed. He puts ice on my forehead. The ambulance comes and he's kind of giving them the history of like, the traumatic birthing experience that I had and everything. And they're just running vitals. And I'm laying there and I feel it again. And I'm like, oh my God, something's very wrong. Please, like, help me, save me. It's literally what I'm telling the ambulance people when they arrive. And he says, okay, let's check our heart. They check my heart. It's okay. They check my blood pressure, 195. He looks at me. He says, which hospital do you want to go to? Like at this point, like there's not even a question. Like we have to get you to the hospital right now. And so they rushed me out. And I remember I'm laying on the stretcher, looking up at the skies or, taking me to the ambulance as my house is getting further and further away in the distance. And I'm like, wow, like if I were to die right now and I were not going to see this house again or my kids, how would I feel about it? Right.
Gosh.
And I said to myself, did I really leave it all out on the table? And they wheeled me into the ambulance. And I did not have an answer for it. Right. And I'm on my way to the hospital. And I honestly, Haley, thought I was dying. And I still get emotional because
Mm.
I really thought I was dying. And you know what it was? It was a panic attack. It was overwhelmed. And my blood pressure shot up, which is also, due to the postpartum period as well. And yes, I was in stroke territory. I was in seizure territory. I truly almost lost my life for a second time within,
Oh
a
my
month
gosh.
span. And that's when in that hospital, I said to myself, it's going to be different. If I get through this, how am I going to redesign my life so that I can reach my goals career wise, wealth wise, family wise, life wise without burning out? And the second thing that I said about that was, Ebony, it's not enough that you just do it for yourself. You have to carry along 1,000 other moms with you. And that's what I left the hospital with. Ever since that day, I have had the alignment. It is not balance, ladies.
Mm.
It is not balance. Balance is a myth. It is called alignment and integration. And that's what I've done every day since then.
Wow, what an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, I would also still get emotional and overwhelmed. I think you always had almost had me there as well because I don't even know how to explain it. So I have 4 little boys. They're under 8 now, but I had 3 under 2 at one point and twins. So that's how I did that. But I think sometimes it shouldn't have to take that overwhelm or that near death experience to see that we really can be doing things differently and we really should be so that we can live in alignment. And I love that you say alignment versus balance because, like you said, balance is a myth. I also believe it that work life balance, like it doesn't really exist, but if you can be in alignment. And so, this is something I'm still working on, right? Running a business. My husband has his business. We have 4 kids. They're in school and now sports, right? So trying to figure out how can both of us run our businesses and still be in alignment and be the people and the parents we want to be. So I would love if you can share more about that. I know that wasn't kind of like part of my past of what we were going to talk about, but I think it's a perfect segue. So share more when you say alignment versus balance and how you help women in that area.
Yes. And so that's very specifically where we focus in with the Mompreneur Hub. So first is reclaiming our time, right? Everyone is so busy. They feel like life is so short, time is so short, there's not enough time in the day. But that's not actually true. We have 24 hours in a day. That's actually a lot of time. I think where we fall down is and it's not prioritizing, right? Because everything takes priority. Who says that our sleep takes priority over our kids, or vice versa, right? And so the first thing that we focus on with reclaiming our time is I like to use anchors. Think about 3 points throughout your day that you want to actually be doing something and kind of plan around that, if that makes sense. So the first anchor that I set in place was 5:30 dinner with my family. because at the dinner table is where you connect, nourish ourselves, to talk about our day, is where we, come together as a family. And so no matter what's going on, my husband and I have agreed that at 5:30 we are sitting down and having a meal. Now there are things that have to be in place for that to happen, things it has to be cooked, groceries have to be in the refrigerator and all that. But because we have that anchor at 5:30, it's such a good grounding for us and our day and gives us
Mhm.
something to look forward to. So that's one thing right there. So reclaiming your time using anchors. The second thing is resetting our energy. I had to do this when I left the hospital, and it's something I had to really focus on because honestly, I had lost who Ebony was. And I think most women can probably attest to this where there is a person that we are before motherhood. And it's like we spend so much time during postpartum getting back to her. But I think that if we all accept that we're never going to be her again, and that's our superpower, right? That's the good part of it. Then our journey to becoming who we're going to become becomes exciting. And that's where we thrive, right? And so I had to get down in that messy middle and understand Ebony as a mom all over again. That was a lot of visualization, manifestation, grounding exercises, a lot of spiritual things, even understanding astrology and numerology and, moon signs and all those things. And that helped a lot. And then last was the realignment. So realigning the business with who I am today. And again, that's how the Mompreneur Hub came to fruition because I was focused on real estate. I'm still very passionate about real estate. That's my bread and butter. That's where I sit. But my passion, my real passion is supporting mompreneurs. And so that kind of taking that space and that time to learn Ebony led to this entirely different, passion project, which is supporting moms. And so that's how I did it.
Mhm. I love that. So I want to recap those because I think those are really important. So you said anchors, energy, and then realignment. The anchors, I've never thought about it in that way, but even just something like you said, dinners at 5:30. That not only is like we sit down, we do it, but it makes you have the groceries in the refrigerator, the dinner ready and prepared, so you can kind of plan around that. Do you have other anchors or examples that you could share that kind of go with that as well?
Yeah, so here's a funny one actually. So
I
my
love it.
toddler, so we've all been through this, right? Where they have their sleep regression. So there was a time period where my daughter would go down for bedtime and she would just cry and cry and cry and whine and whine. She had some kind of serious FOMO, like maybe mommy and daddy were throwing a party when she went to bed. I don't know what she thought was happening, but she did not want to miss it. And so it would drive me crazy. And so then I started having my husband put her down, and then I can't listen to my kids cry. Moms,
Me either.
we cannot
No.
cry it out. It's not a thing. It's a myth. It rattles our nerves.
Yeah.
So I would honestly go outside, sit in my Tesla, and I would watch Netflix.
Mhm.
That was my anchor.
That's
So
awesome.
8 o'clock, she goes down. I'm in my Tesla watching Netflix for half an hour, and then I come back inside. So that was another anchor throughout the day. And I started to look forward to that. Now she goes
Mhm.
down. And so it's totally fine. Another one is for all you spiritual moms out there, I have an altar. So I created an altar to myself. I call it my higher self. And I have my affirmations on the altar. I have a glass of water. I have other little things that remind me of kind of the woman that I'm becoming, my higher self. And so I like to sit
Mhm.
at that altar at 8 o'clock. That's my anchor. I sit at that altar and I visualize and I dream and I really come into the woman that I am aspiring to be. And that has also helped me with this work and really believe in myself and what I can deliver for moms. So that's three anchors.
Mhm. That is incredible, and I think it's so funny because my husband, he'll be like, "Just tune it out." I'm like, "I can't tune it out. If my
Not a
kid
thing.
is crying or whining, like, that is all I can think about." And oh,
Exactly.
I don't know how dads do it, but, there is no tuning it out for me. So, yes, there is no crying it out, and my children still don't sleep, and they're 7 3, 7, and 8. So, it's sometimes, maybe once in a great while, I'll get a full night's sleep, but it's okay. I've learned to not live off a whole ton of sleep. And then you talk about energy, and I have found this to be so, so true, and I was actually just talking about this with a mentor of mine is some type of energy management each day has been really huge for me. And what I have started doing is my daily walks And I used to go on walks and listen to like business books or business podcasts, but I just realized my mind would never actually fully shut off. And so it was just keeping me in this constant state of like, go, go, go. Right. And so now when I do my walks, I don't listen to anything. I just walk and I'm just able to sit with my thoughts and, like you said, kind of dream and visualize. And that has been really huge for me. And then I also do journaling. I write down what I'm grateful for every day. And I know that has helped me be in a better mindset to then do the things I want to do in my business and at home, because I really struggled with that earlier this year. I was just not in a good place. And I don't know if it was the world around me or what was happening, but energy is huge. So, do you have any other tips or things that you do for energy that have helped you?
One huge thing is getting out in nature, right?
Mhm.
Grounding. And when I say grounding, I mean literally take your shoes off, walk in the grass, smell the air, listen to the trees, welcome the sun on your skin. That is huge. I do that every day now. Every single day I get out and I do that. Another thing that I do is I do spiritual baths. So I actually create my own bath salts and things like that, different essential oils that I'll mix together and I'll put that in the bath and I will lay in the bath and just relax. I do that as well. I do a lot of mindfulness and meditation. And a lot of people kind of shy away from meditation because their minds are moving, etc. That's actually a good thing. I think meditation is simply sitting down, letting things settle, letting your mind wander and think without judgment. And that's it. That's all it is, right? And so I think that sometimes we have too many distractions. Just like you said, sit in silence, even if it's for 30 seconds. I actually fasted TV and I did this actually last year, and I still don't watch much TV. I maybe get 30 minutes to an hour, every couple days or so. That's another thing. I don't scroll social media. I know people are like, "What? That's crazy." I don't. I stay away from social media because I just feel like a lot of media are things being pushed at us to the point where we don't know what's our own thought and what was, instilled into us, right? We don't know what's pushed onto us. So I try to stay away from a lot of that noise and kind of like propaganda, if you will. And so that's probably the two things that I do to kind of make sure that I stay grounded and kind of true, with Ebony. And I'll say this too with social media. I'll be honest, I am very easily influenced. Very. So if I see something, I'm like, oh, Haley has pretty hair. I want pretty hair. I'm gonna go dye my hair blonde. It's like I want to sit outside. So literally, that's me. And my husband, it drives him nuts. He's like, okay, where did this idea come from? Who did you speak to today? I'm like, oh my God, I'm so easily influenced. And so for me, I think if more people were honest with themselves, they would admit too that they're very easily influenced. And if you start to think about what thoughts you have come up with on your own versus what was planted, and you start challenging that, you will see.
I can see that in myself. Like, I am also very easily influenced. And when it comes to messaging, and a lot of times that's what I'm helping my clients with. But I even found it in myself when we first get started or you're, into your journey, when things aren't working, it's because we see, oh, that looks like it's working for her, because we're following this on social media or what they're doing in their email. Like, maybe I should try that or do this or do that because we see it perfect and beautiful and pretty online, but we don't actually know what's happening behind the scenes. And it's also not our own real thoughts and views and opinions. So the more that we can start just showing up as ourselves without all of these other things clouding our judgment and our voice and who we are, that's when it can start becoming really powerful. And so I've also been trying to just not be on social media as much, but I also find myself like opening my phone and all of a sudden I'm on Facebook when that's not what I intended to do when I opened my phone. So maybe I just need to like take it off of my phone.
That's what my husband
Oh.
does. When he scrolls Facebook too much, it's just not on his phone. I've also obviously, you use social media to promote like, your business and things like that. And I actually hired a team and I told them verbatim, if I could stay off social media altogether and you guys run with it, that's ideal for me. Because I also feel like social media is quite inauthentic and like I'm building a very authentic, transparent movement and brand. And so I just don't want it clouded with all of that other noise. Like I truly want to be authentic, genuine, unique, right? One of a kind. And I can't do that if I have so many inputs coming into my brain.
100% agree with that. And I just feel that the space online has there's just not a good energy that I feel behind it. I don't know how else to explain it, but it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel real. And I know part of that is AI and part of it is what's happening in our world and all of this. I don't even know how to say it, but I 100% agree with you. And so then the next thing, alignment, realignment, right? And so you said, really aligning your business. And this is what I help my clients with as well is when we're looking through their offers or how they're going to do their marketing and their launch, what aligns with their lifestyle and how they want to show up, but also how do their people want to be served. And so can you share more about maybe how you're doing that with other mompreneurs or how you're teaching that inside of your community?
The biggest way that I teach it is that visioning. So it's really hard for, and again, I'll also specify that my target audience is normally corporate women because we have been trained a certain way, right? The way we approach things. It's been handed to us, right? Climbing that corporate ladder. And so with our services, like we really focus on if we were to strip away everything that was handed to us, going to the good school, getting the good grades, getting the right degree, going to the right company, all those things. What's left, right? What is it that you really want to leave? So we start with a lot of visioning, but we have to pull back
Mhm.
a lot of that stuff. And that's why I say the reclaiming time and the resetting the energy part really brings us back to the core of ourselves. And then when you can build from nothing, literally from nothing. That's when the magic happens. So once we strip all the way down and then we start building from nothing, then they're starting to build something that looks like their true vision. And then the alignment is a lot easier, right? And so for me, when I said, okay, I love real estate, but that's not really who Ebonee is. It's really the mompreneur. And so once started going down that journey, everything started falling into place, right? My ideal client, the services that we're going to provide, how to integrate my kids into it, right? Again, when I say it's not a balance. It is alignment and integration. How do I integrate my life into it, right? Even with social media and all those things. I think that's really where the sweet spot is. So let's peel away everything. Let's start visioning from nothing, thinking really, really big, uninhibited, and then we go forward from there. So the second thing that I offer in the Mompreneur Hub is what I call the 90-day container. And it's like almost like a business accelerator, but with spirituality on steroids. So a lot of programs teach the 1, 2, 3, 4, take these steps, right? I don't know if you've ever been involved in one of those programs. I have, and it was great practically, but for whatever reason, it still didn't work, right? You didn't have the community behind it. You didn't have the accountability behind it. You didn't have the support, right? And so I think as women, a lot of the emotional and, tangible things is what's important. And so that's the other piece of the Mompreneur Hub, which is why it's also called the hub. It's the community, it's the practical aspect, it's the emotional support, right? It's all of those things wrapped in one. And so again, to answer your question, it really is that stripping down to who we are, which does take a lot of work, and then that visioning from there.
I think that's important because so many times we're not really stripping away everything, or it's not looking at the full vision, or even taking the time to do that. That can take time. It can be a really intensive process. Do you feel like a lot of those women have big ahas, like they're finding themselves doing something they never thought they would be doing, or that's like a totally different trajectory than what they kind of originally thought?
Yes. And the things that these women will come up with, it's incredible. I'm like, I never knew that you would even think to do something like that. Really impactful. And this is why, honestly, Haley, we're doing God's work, right? You and I both, right? And other people that are in this space, because if you think about it, we are literally the salt of the earth, right? As moms, there will be nothing here without us, nothing, right? And so if you think about for us, even leaving corporate jobs, et cetera, we will be sucking out so much just amazingness from the universe and the world if we just sat around not in our true potential. That's really how I see this
Mhm.
work that we're doing. And so it's really important to have that support there. And so I had women who are like, yeah, I'm in a corporate space, marketing, let's just say marketing strategy. And they're like, I would love to start a clothing line for boys. And I'm like, oh my God, that'd be great. Cause I hate all the boys' clothes, at Target and everywhere else, Nordstrom's everywhere. I hate it. And so just really, really brilliant ideas come out. And I honestly feel like if we were supporting moms in this space, answering to the problems that we have, that we all face, we could literally change the face of America, like literally just
Mm.
empowering moms. And that's why this was my mission, honestly. This is exactly why. So yeah, we have some great, great, great products coming out of the clients that we serve for sure.
That's so amazing. And I 100% agree with you. We could change the face of America. And right now, I think there needs more positivity and powerful women at the center and at the top and all over. So the
100%.
work you're doing is amazing. So thank you, number one, for that. But I think that leads me to the next question I always like to ask all of my guests on this show is how do you define success? Because I think it really goes with what you're doing is success looks different for everyone. And a lot of times we're chasing someone else's version of success, not our own. So how do you define it today?
So it has changed for me drastically. I think I mentioned in the beginning that I was just looking to make partner at my firm and there was nothing else there. And now, honestly, to me, success is owning my time, right? So it's owning my time to be present for my kids. It's owning my time to build wealth on my own terms. It's owning my time to live the life of my dreams. And that's ultimately for me what success looks like. So if I'm thriving, my kids are thriving, my husband's thriving, then that's the sweet spot, and that's success for me.
Thank you for sharing, Ebony. And of course, I want to make sure that all of the women listening can find you and work with you if they are feeling called to it. So I will have your links in the show notes, but do you just want to share more about how women can find you or connect with you or some next steps to take?
Absolutely. So you can find us on mompreneurhub.co. That's .co. We're also on Instagram, the Mompreneur Hub. We're on Facebook, Mompreneur Hub. And we're also on Substack, the Mompreneur Hub. We do have a workshop coming up, if I can say, Haley, live in October. A beautiful workshop. It's called the Mompreneur Reset. And that's all about, as I mentioned earlier, reclaiming your time, resetting your energy, and realigning your business with the life that you want. That's whether you're relaunching a product, launching a product, thinking about launching a product. All are welcome if you're a mompreneur or mom and entrepreneur. And yeah, that's it. We're here.
Oh, amazing. Well, yes, I will include all of those links so that our listeners can attend live or they can connect with you either way. But thank you again for sharing all of your wisdom and your story, all about the messy middle.
Thank you, Haley.